making my Texas Roadhouse rolls, copycat. Now, I have my warm water. I have my warm water and I am putting in my yeast. I love my digital thermometer, but if you don't have a digital thermometer, just put your finger in and you should be able to hold your finger in there and it be very hot, but not so hot that you can't keep your finger in. If you can't keep your finger in, it's too hot and it's going to kill your yeast. All right, so I got my yeast in there. I am going to go ahead and put my 1/4 cup of sugar in, and the sugar just helps the yeast activate quicker. By the way, I store my yeast in my freezer when I don't use it very quickly, and in my refrigerator all the time. Okay, now we're gonna wait to make sure our yeast is bubbly and it starts bubbling up. Make sure it's not dead. Okay, you can see how it's getting all foamy and bubbly, so I know my yeast is activated. Okay, I'm gonna pour my yeast in my bowl. Then I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of butter or margarine, whichever you want, or oil or shortening, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna melt this. Okay, it is melted and I'm now gonna add 1 cup of water because I am going to use dry milk for this, just because I need to use up my dry milk. If you don't have dry milk that you need to use, then just use regular milk. It's totally fine. Okay, gonna pour it in there. Okay, then I'm going to add my salt. As always, the recipe is in the description below and at livingonadime.com. Okay, got my mixture, got my egg, and I am putting in some of the flour and starting to mix with part of the flour. Okay, so I got my 1 cup of flour mixed in, and I'm adding my next cup. All right, now the reason why you mix it on high for 2 minutes and then mix it for another 2 minutes is because that helps get the gluten activated without so much kneading. So I'm gonna get it in here, make a stiff dough, and get it going here and a little bit more. Okay, now I'm gonna put a little bit of dough on my counter and get my dough out. Okay, then, oops, going to get a little bit of flour, and this is very sticky. I probably should add a little bit more flour, but that's fine. Okay, now just lightly start putting your flour in, and just kind of pull flour from there as it starts to get a little bit drier. Now you don't want it too dry, but you don't want it too sticky either. So it's just something that you have to practice and Try it several times if you think you might enjoy baking. You don't always have to make homemade rolls and everything, but it's kind of nice to have them every now and then. Okay. Now I'm just sort of feeling to see how the dough is doing. It's a little bit sticky. So I'm adding just a little bit more flour. Okay, now I just turned my oven on and I'm letting it pre-warm to just about 115, 120 degrees. And then I'm gonna leave the light on and let the dough rise in the warm oven, and that will help it rise quicker, okay? Okay, now you can see how the dough's really coming together, still sticking just a little bit. This recipe is in our Dining on a Dime cookbook on page 97, our volume 2. You can get it in the description below. It is on sale right now. Okay, now see how it's not sticking to my hands? That is how you know it is getting there. See how it's sticking just a little bit? Gonna add just a little bit more. Okay, that looks pretty smooth. Now, a lot of times I will knead in the bowl, but today I just want to show you. Now what I do is cooking spray in the bowl, cooking spray on top. That will keep it from drying out, and then we're going to put it in our slightly warmed oven. Okay, here's a little trick. I just made some bread dough, and I wiped up the big part, but you can see there's still some stuck on there. So I just take my scraper and scrape it up. There you go. Pretty handy, isn't it? My dough has risen, and I'm going to spray my pan with cooking spray. Now, I probably should have let it rise a little bit longer, but I am trying to get moving on dinner here. So here's what I'm gonna do. I love my kitchen cutter, so just cut in half and in half, half. Okay, and then we go in fourths, thirds. Oh, I didn't divide that very well. Okay, then we're gonna take our little buns and we're gonna go like this. Fold them over. Put them in our pan. That one's a little big. Should have cut them a little bit more evenly, honestly, but I didn't. Okay. Now, for those of you who are wondering, I absolutely hate making dinner rolls, so these are not going to be perfect. I am not a detail-oriented person. I am a slap it together and go kind of a person, but there we go. Now we're going to let these rise again until they're doubled, and then we're going to bake them. Okay, there are the buns risen. Oh, don't they look delicious? And now I just go ahead and turn on my oven. You're really supposed to preheat it, but I just think it lets it rise just a little bit better. So get it to 350 and then we're gonna bake it. Okay, now I'm making my Texas Roadhouse honey butter, which I got my butter a little too soft, as you can see there. A little too soft, but that's okay. All right, so now what I should have done was just softened it in my measuring cup, but I didn't do that. So I'm going to show you an easy way to melt honey now, or to measure honey. Just spray your measuring cup with cooking spray, And then your honey will slide right out and it won't get stuck. Okay, got my honey and my butter. Now this does work best with butter, but you can use margarine if you want. And my 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And then my powdered sugar. Right here. Whoa, oh dear. Oops. Oh well, that's fine. Okay, now we're gonna mix it up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in a jar and let it sit in the refrigerator and get a little bit hardened, so it's not quite so soft, but you can serve it just like this if you want. Oops. Gonna have to get another jar. Here's our honey butter all ready for our rolls.
Is this the best honey butter from the Dining on a Dime cookbook where you can eat better and spend less for only, what is it now?
I have no idea.
$49.90, $39.99?
I don't know. We need to look up the price.
$29.99.
We need to look up the price, don't we? Okay. Here, you want to look at? What do you think?
Oh, that's very good.
Very delicious, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that's good.
Well, that's really good.
There you go. All right, yummaramo. We have our Texas Roadhouse rolls. Does that not look delicious?
Look, that smells delicious.
And I'm gonna just take and put a little bit of butter over the top. Okay, so we're gonna serve this with our stew and I will let you know what they think. Oh, the whole thing. I see how you are. Okay, here is dinner. Strawberries with stew and Texas Roadhouse rolls with Texas Roadhouse honey butter. Does anybody want some?
Yum.
Yay.
You are?
Oh, do you want the honey butter?
Yes.
Dave, can you hand a knife?
You want to clear the table first?
Jack, can you close that door? Now I got the computer all behind you, but oh well. Here, we'll try like this. There, we'll do this.
I can put it in the middle, right?
Yes.
Ooh. Yum.
Okay, now we'll try and see, is it Texas Roadhouse worthy?
That's really good.
Okay, thumbnail.
Mm.
Okay, thumbnail.